Alright, yeah! Thank God for fantasy football. I'm Buster Brown, and the show, it's called Redemption Rehab. And if you tuned in today, it's for one reason. It's to start winning championships in fantasy football. Here we are on our website, fantasyfootballredemptionrehab.com. When you get a chance, check it out. Today, we're here talking about our weekly Waiver Wire report, where we help you find impact players week in and week out to help you win a championship in 2020. So buckle up, get out your popcorn, and let's head over to the chalkboard
and check out the facts.
Here we are on Fantasy Pros checking out their waiver wire priorities for week 9 of the NFL season. But first of all, we're going to start out with our quick hits, and we always start out with quarterback. Look, if you want a good young quarterback for the rest of the season, maybe you're in trouble, you got to go to Denver for Drew Lock. Look, Denver's quarterback, he's in his second year. He came back against the Los Angeles Chargers last week. Showed, look, the guy's got moxie, and he's going down to Atlanta. That's a West Coast, East Coast trip. However, Atlanta's secondary is not very good, and if you need a quarterback, we suggest Drew Lock for week 9. You want to know another good quarterback? Let's take a look at this guy, Nick Mullins of the San Francisco 49ers. Look, when Garofalo got hurt again with the same injury he had before, which is a high ankle sprain, Nick Mullins came in and threw for 2 touchdowns, 250 yards, and scored 20 fantasy points. Look, Garofalo's on his way out of San Francisco. Nick Mullins is probably the guy to take his place. We'll see what he can do on Thursday night against the Green Bay Packers. Very difficult secondary. We'll see what happens. I'm not sure it's going to work out for Nick Mullins, but if he wants to prove himself, he can do it this week against the difficult Green Bay Packers secondary. I got some other quarterbacks you may want to look at. Look, the Jags gave up, I can't believe it, on their quarterback. The kid's been playing well all year, but they want to take a look at one of their people they drafted. And his name is Jake Luton. Look, they drafted this guy, and they want to see what he can do. They know they're not going anywhere. They want a high draft choice. They probably want the Clemson quarterback or maybe even the Ohio State quarterback, so they're trying to lose games. So, unfortunately, he took out their starting quarterback and put this guy in. You want to maybe avoid the Jags situation, but if you're in desperation, hey, I wouldn't recommend you taking Jake Luton. But I wanted to make sure he's available and you knew about it. And the other quarterback situation you need to know about is down in Dallas. Look, Ben DiNucci, come on. This guy shouldn't be in the NFL, but they do have a guy named Garrett Gilbert, so they're going to let these two guys compete this week, and one of them's going to come in and play against a tough Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Look, if you can get the Steelers defense, you should do it. I'm going to tell you right now, the Steelers defense is going to crush the Dallas Cowboy offense. I don't care if it's in Dallas. In DFS, play Pittsburgh. They're probably going to score 20 points, just like the defense we recommended last week, which was the Philadelphia Eagles. We told you Dallas's offensive line's banged up. It was going to be a big DFS, daily fantasy sports type play, and Philadelphia crushed it with 20 plus points in DFS for a defense. Look for Pittsburgh to outdo that. Look, if you want another good player, we mentioned the kicker for Atlanta. His name is Young Hoo Koo. Okay, I know, it's a tough name. We call him the Koo Man. Look, he was 4 for 4 last week, and he scored 20 plus fantasy points in DFS. You should go out and get the Atlanta field goal kicker if you need a field goal kicker, if your league still does it. He didn't play well a couple weeks ago. They're indoors, at home. Go get the Atlanta field goal kicker, and I'll tell you what, I bet he gets you some points. Now, we come back, we're going to take a look at our waiver wire possibilities for week 9 of the NFL season, starting with the guys behind us. This is a company called Fantasy Pros. We told you how to get to them on our website, and this is who they recommend you go after at running back for week 9 of the NFL season on the waiver wire. Okay, it's been a long season. If you don't have your handcuffs at running back, I don't care who the backup is on your starting running back, you need to go at him and go get him. Why? Because if you don't have him and your starting running back gets hurt, you're in big trouble. You could lose your championship. So go out and get your handcuffs at running back. One of the handcuffs for Myles Gaskin was Matt Breida. Well, guess what? Myles Gaskin's hurt. He's going to be put on IR for 3 weeks. I think they're just trying to protect the young rookie quarterback with veteran players at running back. I doubt Myles Gaskin's hurt much, but he's a rookie and they want to keep him around, so they're going to put him on IR to protect him and their young quarterback with some veterans. And one of the veterans they're going to protect him with is this guy, Matt Breida for the Miami Dolphins. Look, the kid can play. He's owned by 20% of the leagues out there. I really like him. I think you should pick him up if you need a running back for the next 3 weeks. Look, Gus Edwards is second on this list, and I tell you what, I like him. I'd rather have K. Dobbins, but you know what? He's not available in any leagues. Neither is Mark Ingram, who's hurt for the next 3 weeks. So he might be a player you want to pick up because he had a touchdown last week, and he's a good player. Another guy you should mention, we want to talk about, is Jordan Wilkins. As you can see here, look, he plays for the Indianapolis Colts. He's like their third string running back, but Jonathan Taylor got hurt, and he's got this ankle injury, so we don't know if he's coming back or not. This guy scored some touchdowns last week, and I tell you what, we told you about him early in the year as a handcuff maybe to Jonathan Taylor, where here he is scoring points. And the other guy is Nyheim Hines. He plays for Indianapolis too. He's probably a better pick than Jordan Wilkins. So if either one of these guys are on your waiver wire, go out and get them. They're going to help you in week 9. This guy here, right here, with Green Bay situation, they got the COVID-19 thing. So, the guy that was scoring points the last couple of weeks while Aaron Jones was out, Williams, he's out with COVID-19 because he was hanging out with the other running back, Dillon, that they drafted. You can't have either one of these guys in your lineup on Thursday. And who's replacing him? How about Dexter Williams? And if you come down here, the guy I like is Tyler Irving. Look, Tyler Irving's going to step in here and he's going to take over for Aaron Jones if Aaron Jones can't play. But guess what? I think he will. So it's a risky play, but you could pick him up. I wouldn't spend a lot of money on Dexter Williams or Tyler Irving, but those are guys you should be looking at. We also told you about this guy last week, Wayne Gallman. He went out and he was productive. Freeman, who is the starting running back, who filled in for Saquon Barkley when he got hurt, he might be out this week too. We don't know. But Wayne Gallman filled in, played well against Tampa Bay. You might want to consider him. And we got to mention the rest of these guys down here. We told you about the Seattle issues at running back. Man, it's really bad. And DJ Dallas right down here came in and scored 20 fantasy points. He might do it again this week. I think they'll probably get back some of these running backs, so be careful with that. And the rest of these guys that you see on here, I'm not buying into any of them. We told you about LaMichael Perrin last week. Maybe he'll get some playing time. Maybe he'll do well, but he is playing against a tough New England defense. So I wouldn't consider him a big priority. When we come back, we're going to show you some more priorities at wide receiver that you should be going at on Fantasy Pros for week 9 of the Waiver Wire. Okay, here we are on fantasypros.com looking at the rankings they like for week 9 of the NFL season on the Waiver Wire. And they start out with Marvin Jones. Why Marvin Jones? Look, he's probably going to be available in some of your leagues because he hasn't done anything all year. But guess what? Kenny Golladay got hurt. Now this guy becomes the number 1 wide receiver over there. Check out their depth chart on the Detroit Lions and see who might pick up some slack for the fact that Kenny Galladay's out. Everybody on Fantasy Pros thinks it's going to be Marvin Jones. I would check out their depth chart, and maybe someone like a Damian Amendola might pick up some slack, or the Hawkinson tight end. These guys might come into play. Another guy we want to talk about is this guy, Jalen Reagor. Look, Alshon Jeffries, we told you to come and get the last couple weeks. Why isn't he on the roster? Because they were going to trade him, but no takers. So I expect Alshon Jeffries to come back, and I'd like to have him. However, this guy had a touchdown last week and a 2-point conversion. He only caught 3 passes for like less than 20 yards, but he might be somebody you want to get, and especially Sterling Shepard down here with the Giants. Look, if he's available, go get him. He can play. He's a good player, and he's the best wide receiver on the Giants, in my opinion. Go out and get him. And look, we talked about him last week, and we talked about Curtis Samuel last week. Well, guess what Curtis Samuel did? He went and got you 2 touchdowns. If he was on your waiver wire last week, we told you about it, and guess what? He went out and produced. And a guy that you better keep an eye on for this week, or maybe next week is when he's probably going to come back, is this guy, Allen Lazard of the Green Bay Packers. Look, they were supposed to trade for Will Fuller of the Houston Texans, but the management wouldn't let him do it. I think the coaches and management were like, look, give us another guy, but it didn't happen. So look for Allen Lazard to come back, not this week, but next, and be a pivotal player for the Green Bay Packers. Other guys we like are down here. Kendrick Bourne had a bunch of receptions, like 8, 9, for the San Francisco 49ers. He's a good player. He scored 16, 17 points for San Francisco. He's got a tough matchup against Green Bay, but we like him a lot. Last week we told you about Ayuk, the other receiver. If that guy's available, go out and get the rookie for the San Francisco 49ers. His name is Brandon Ayuk. Go get him. And the rest of these guys, I look down this list and I don't see much I like. Randall Cobb, they thought they were going to trade Will Fuller. Don't be putting him in your lineup. Darnell Mooney's a rookie who's doing better than Miller, the other wide receiver. I think Darnell Mooney might be a number 2 in Chicago, but he is a rookie. And these Kansas City Chiefs wide receivers, you never know which one's going to do well. Mecole Hardman had a good week last week, but the week before it was Demarcus Robinson. Good luck with that, because Sammy Watkins is coming back this week, and that's a guy you may want to see if he's on your waiver wire. Look for him to produce this week. As far as anybody else, a deep sleeper is that guy, Jacoby Myers. New England Patriots, I don't even know who they have to throw the ball to, but this guy produced against a tough Buffalo secondary. He might produce again this week against a weak Jets secondary, so go out and pick up Jacoby Myers. Let's give you the last position we're going to look at tonight, and it's the tight ends in the NFL for week 9 of the waiver wire. Okay, here we are in week 9 looking at tight ends on fantasypros.com. Look, if you can go out and pick up Eric Ebron, he's got a great matchup against the Dallas Cowboys. He's probably not available. You can see here he's owned by 48% of most leagues. Probably not going to be there. If these two guys are, Trey Burton and Logan Thomas, go out and get them. I think they got great matchups this week, and they're going to score some points. And they did in the last few weeks for the teams that they play on. I would stay away from Dalton Schultz, but I do like Jordan Reed. He's not coming back in week 9, but he might come back in week 10 or 11 because Kittle's out for like 2 months. That's a tough one for people who drafted Kittle early, but San Francisco is going to replace him with these two guys, Jordan Reed, who probably won't play this week, and this guy, Ross Dwelling. Ross Dwelling's a mediocre tight end, but if you need a tight end for 1 week, this would be the guy to go out and get. Okay, as far as other guys on this, we like Trey Burton, Darren Fells. He's going to be competing with a guy that's been injured. Aiken, he's coming back, so there's some competition there. We told you about Albert Okwuegbunam. Look, this guy for Denver played well when Noah Fant was out, but now that Noah Fant's back, I wouldn't suggest him. But if you need a tight end for 1 week, it's probably going to be either this guy right here, Ross Dwelling for San Francisco, and down the road, Jordan Reed for San Francisco will have good weeks. But if you could get Logan Thomas, I'd go out and get him because he's got some good matchups coming up, and so does Trey Burton. Go out and pick those guys up on your waiver wire for week 9 of the NFL season.
Well, there you have it. We gave you all the impact players we promised to help you fill out your rosters this week in fantasy football. I'm Buster Brown. The show is called Redemption Rehab. Good luck.